All right, guys. So first and foremost, let's talk about the waterfall methodology. See, this is a sequential and linear approach that divides your project into different steps or phases. Each step or phase won't start until the prior phase is completed or approved. And the timeline for the project is based on the total time estimated for each phase. So the way we do this with logo designs is that we kind of break things up over the course of the project. First, we talk about discovery, then we get into design, and then we move on to other implementations of the logo. So Waterfall is a great way to structure those engagements that are very, very linear. So the question that gets asked a lot is, doesn't Waterfall suck? And it has started to garner a bad reputation in recent years because it's very rigid. But the rigidity was for a good reason. See, Waterfall has been around for years, and it's a great way to manage projects like construction. So wouldn't it be difficult to hang wallpaper on a house that hasn't been framed yet? All right, so why Waterfall? So if you have clearly defined processes and you're doing deliverable-based work, Waterfall can help streamline the approval process and predict your team's bandwidth. So this is how a basic Waterfall project works. You gather the information and the requirements that it takes to get the job done. Then you plan the required steps. You estimate the time and resources, you conduct the project, and then you adjust the timeline as you move through. When it's done, you deliver. So here's the good thing about Waterfall. It's very easy to use. It doesn't require much explaining at all. It helps predict your team's bandwidth moving forward. There's clear handoff points, and it clearly shows the progress where you're at in the project workflow. So here's the cons for Waterfall. It is very, very rigid, and it requires prior knowledge. It requires you to know the solution to the problem that you're trying to solve. It's very, very hard to integrate feedback or testing, and it requires you to have a defined process in order to accomplish the task. And the worst thing about Waterfall, which is something that we've experienced, is the schedule can be easily missed, delayed, or absolutely destroyed. If you're interested in learning more about how another designer incorporated Waterfall into his business, check out the Venus Initiative section in Burn Your Portfolio by Michael Janda.
So before we move on, I want to make sure that I summarize this properly and see for our people in the audience who maybe that was a lot of information. For Waterfall, essentially it's just defined phases or steps, and one cannot happen without the other, right? There's contingent steps, like you used the analogy for the house, right? So you build the foundation, then the framing, then you put the walls up, then you put the coats of paint, and then you decorate and everything, right? So those are steps that have to happen one after the other, and they're contingent on the previous one getting completed.
Yeah.
So essentially that's Waterfall in a nutshell.
Exactly.
Cool.
So that was Waterfall. Next up, we're going to learn about Agile.